Hello, this is Joe from Nerd in Korea. We are continuing our budget precon upgrade series and looking at wincons now. Wincons are actually a little more tricky than they might sound at first. So first of all, when I say budget, I mean $2 or less, and that's on the TCG market value, not a sponsor, not one bit. Precon upgrades. So look, talking about wincons, first of all, when I say wincon, it means win condition. And wincons are alternate. Basically, you make an alternate rule that lets you win. So yeah, instead of just like basically getting your opponents to 0 life, which is usually how you win, or mill them out, which is another way to win, you can do this other completely different thing and win. So that's great. It's super useful. But a wincon in the wrong deck is useless, right? It will just be a card that sits there and doesn't do anything. So it's very important to first of all say to yourself, does this win condition make sense in this deck? Can this deck do this? And if it can't, don't put it in. Alright. Number 5. Mechanized production. Okay, my first two are very common ones. Alright. Please don't get angry at me for putting common or well-known cards on the list. This is for everybody. This is for new players. This is for experienced players, okay? So yeah. Even experienced players forget cards exist, okay? So just take it easy on the keyboard, alright? Anyway, alright. A popular option. So this, at the beginning of your upkeep, create a token that's a copy of Enchanted Artifact. This is a card you could put in a lot of decks, even if you're just making copies of like a mana rock or something. That might be very useful, okay? But this also, then if you control 8 or more artifacts with the same name as one another, you win the game. Artifacts with the same name. It doesn't say the artifact this enchants, right? It doesn't care which artifact it is, just that they all have the same name. So things like treasure tokens. If you make 8 treasure tokens, you just win. Servos. Again, you can make servos very, very easily. They're 1/1 creature token, creature creature tokens. And yeah, if you have 8 of them at the beginning of your upkeep, you win. Anyway, 31 cents. For 2 and 2 blue, that's crazy. 31 cents. Number 4. This is another well-known one. Okay? I'm saying that right off the bat. This is not gonna... Anyone who's played a lot of Commander is not gonna be surprised about this, but it's something to think about. Anyway, Simic Ancestry. It is only a green and a blue. The casting cost is a green and blue for an enchantment that can just win the game. Oh my. Okay, and you can pay 1 Simic or 1 green blue to put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. You want to use this with your +1/+1 counters decks or your proliferate decks, right? If you've got a lot of proliferate, this can put your first +1/+1 counter on a creature and then just proliferate like crazy and just keep stacking those up. And every time a proliferate or a counter goes on a creature, you put a counter on this. And if you're proliferating, you can also increase the number of counters on this. So really, you put a +1/+1 on a creature, and then if you can proliferate, how many times is it? At the beginning of your upkeep, if oh sorry, I should read the whole thing. Whenever 1 or more +1/+1 counters are put on a creature you control, put that many growth counters on Simic Ancestry. Growth counters. They are counters. That means when you proliferate, you can add to the stack of counters on this as well. At the beginning of your upkeep, if Simic Ancestry has 20 or more growth counters on it, you win the game. 20 may sound like a lot. It's not. Especially if you're proliferating. Even you got, say, 4 token creatures with +1/+1 counters on them, proliferate twice, you've done 12 already. Right? They got the first +1/+1 counters and then 2 proliferates. That's already 12. That's not a lot. That's pretty minimal even. And you need to get to 20. You're over halfway at that point. Even, yeah, if you've got 5 and you put 4 +1/+1 counters on each one, that's it. You win the game. And when you proliferate, you can add to this stack as well. Anyway, 57 cents. Number 3, Biovisionary. So here's another Simic one. Simic gets a lot of Wincons, I guess. Anyway, okay. At the beginning of your end step, if you control 4 or more creatures named Biovisionary, you win the game. This is more tricky, right? You need to wait to make like copies of creatures or populate creatures. Again, token copies do count, right? So you can make the Biovisionary. It's not legendary, so you can just keep putting them down. That's fine. If you're playing like Commander, the hard part is actually just that you have the singleton rule, right? You can't have a whole bunch of these in your deck. You can only have one. But in any deck where you can make copies of the creatures and like populate and things like that, you can get this done quick. It's not a hard thing to do. Anyway, 39 cents. Number 2, Azor's Elocutors, Human Advisor. Okay, so this is 3 and Azorius, so white-blue. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a filibuster counter on Azor's Elocutors. Then if Azor's Elocutors has 5 or more filibuster counters on it, you win the game. Once again, these are counters. You can proliferate them. And whenever a source deals damage to you, remove a filibuster counter. So if you have something where you can like really control how people are attacking and things like that, you can get this done pretty quick, especially with proliferate. You get 1 and then you just wait, and it's not, especially if you can proliferate during other people's turns is ideal, and then you just proliferate 3 more times and then wait for your turn to start and you win the game. Done. Anyway, 30 cents. Number 1. This might actually be the trickiest one, but it's my favorite. 2 and a white for this one. Enchantment, which is nice. When Happily Ever After enters the battlefield, each player gains 5 life and draws a card. Each player, so you're helping everybody. Which maybe is, well, obviously is not an upside, but anyway. At the beginning of your upkeep, if there are 5 colors among permanents you control, so you need 5 colors on the board, and 6 or more card types among permanents you control, and or cards in your graveyard, your life total is greater than your starting life total, you win the game. Okay, so you gotta have 5 color, control all 5 colors of permanents. You have to have 6 different card types on the board or in your graveyard, and your life total has to be higher than your starting total. So that's a bit. To be fair, that is a bit, but it's, especially when this comes in and gives you that 5 extra life, not super hard to do. I would say like it's 3 requirements, but even having all the card types, including in your graveyard, that's quite good actually. If it doesn't care if it's in the graveyard or not. Even if you can discard things or mill things or however it works, right? Get a land into your graveyard. 6 is a lot, but it's not that bad. Even like sorcery, instant, that goes to your graveyard right away. So that's 2, right? Creature, going to end up in your graveyard. So there's 3. I'd say artifact, enchantment, land are the next 3. Probably more, you might need discard there. Then Planeswalker. Once again, not hard to get to your graveyard, and a battle is the other one. You might not want to use battles. You don't really need it for this, but it would make it easier, especially with some kind of discard. This is big on like if you can discard and gain life. This is a great thing. wubrg, life gain discard deck. Sounds weird, but I'm sure it's out there. Anyway, 10 cents. The list. Okay, mechanized production is 31 cents. Simic Ancestry is 57 cents. Biovisionary is 39 cents. Azor's Elocutors is 30 cents. happily ever after is 10 whole cents. All right, take it easy.